problem. I still got plan C.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And what's going on? Happy New Year! Hello, my Plan C people. Hope everyone is doing so great, so great. I am here. We are here doing an NFL Wildcard Weekend preview. Very excited to bring that to you. Hope everyone has had a good start to the year. It's been a decent start. I went to the dentist recently. Don't have any cavities, so shout out that. I'm doing sober January, so that's a pain in the ass. But you know what? I just always like to tell myself that I can put it down, and I'm okay when I put it down. So shout out to doing that, and shout out to anyone else who is doing that. And if you're not, that's okay too. I'm probably gonna be back out there once a month then. So that's that. Anyway, hope you're having a great day, evening, night, whenever you're listening. Make sure you are subscribing to us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever we are. Drop a rating. We've got some ratings there. I think we're at 4.5 stars. I don't know. Somebody one time gave us a 1 star and didn't leave a review, but just gave us a 1 star. So I'm like, who are you out there? I don't know who you are, but I have some ideas. Anyway. Appreciate you for listening. Appreciate you for, continuing to come back. Make sure you're doing all the things, checking out previous podcasts, movies, state rankings, whatever it is. Thanks for listening. We're going to get into it. And peace! And we are back. We wanted to wait a couple days, to record this because, all the coach firings and stuff. So we wanted to, properly react. So hello, happy Tuesday. As always for the NFL, I am joined by AJ. AJ, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Colin?
Not much. This is our first podcast of the new year. So happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year to you, AJ.
Happy New Year, man, my guy.
And we both of our football teams, we had a chance to make the playoffs with 1 week to go, and we didn't do it. So let's be a little sad about that, but not as sad as some other people in the NFL who have been let go. So we're gonna start with sort of reacting to coaches who have been let go and openings that may appear, and then we'll go into a nice little lightning round playoff slate preview. And yeah, so I think a really good place to start is, I think, the most unexpected firing, certainly of, I'll say, the season. The Tennessee Titans have fired Mike Vrabel after the season. He went 6-11 on the season, and they never really looked like a team that was competing. They did beat the Dolphins, but by that time, this shit was pretty much over. So you are somebody who follows the AFC South very closely. What's your take on the Titans firing Vrabel?
Yeah, so I wasn't all that surprised, only because there was reports that there was a chance that this would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that was so difficult for me to get that sentence out, but there was reports that this was possibly going to happen. 2 very disappointing years in Tennessee. I'm not all that surprised.
Gotcha.
I'm more surprised that, not surprised necessarily, but the downfall or the problems that the Titans have faced the last 2 seasons, I don't think they fall on Mike Vrabel at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Traded away their best player, AJ Brown. You saw during the draft, right? There's cameras in the draft room. You visibly saw Mike Vrabel upset about that trade. He was not happy.
Yeah.
Right. They got Traylon Burks. He's been rough.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's on his way out. They hitched their wagon to Ryan Tannehill for probably 2 years too long. They
Hmm.
butchered the Malik Willis development. Will Levis, who knows? Is that going to be your guy? I mean, there's no way another
We
coach
were
comes
excited. We
in.
were excited for a couple weeks about Will Levis.
I mean, he came in. We said it. Arguably had one of the best debuts of a rookie quarterback,
Yeah.
and then really kind of, I don't want to say shit the bed the last few games of the season, but he didn't do anything impressive,
No.
right? Um, but 6 seasons with Tennessee. Mike Vrabel was already there 6 years, which is pretty crazy.
Hmm.
And he had a lot of success there. So to see him go out the way that he did, kind of kind of jarring.
Yeah. This is one of those that I completely disagree with. I think maybe it's because I have seen poor coaching ruin my delightful football season, or I don't know what necessarily to put, you know, but I think this is absolutely a mistake. Here's a guy who the locker room really likes him, and he it is my opinion that good coaching most shows up when you are able to do more with less. And I don't think anyone over the past 6 seasons has done more with less than Mike Vrabel. Um, you know, his the best quarterback that he has had on his team was Ryan Tannehill. And I
Ryan
understand
Tannehill was cooking for a couple of years
no,
though.
I understand. I understand he's half decent, and the Arthur Smith offense was like chugging along and all that. But I still look at this and I'm like, wow, like there are so many other coaches who have done so much worse with better talent. And this is a guy who sort of brings everything to the table. Whether, you talk about culture, whether you talk about, defensive game planning. This is a guy who shut down the Dolphins not 3 weeks ago. Um so I wholeheartedly disagree with this, and maybe there's going to be reports coming out about a disconnect with the owner. I don't know, but I think any team who hires Mike Vrabel is going to hit a home run. Um, yeah.
So I really don't think this is as crazy as as it seems on
Hmm.
like surface value. Yes, it seems pretty absurd. But if you just look at the way that this team kind of declined the last couple of years, Ryan Tannehill is going to be gone. Who knows what the hell they're going to do at quarterback? Derrick Henry pretty much gave his farewell speech at the
Yeah,
end of
he's
the
gone.
season. Like where's this team going?
But he's not drafting people. This isn't
Yeah,
on him.
but do you keep a guy who's not had success the last couple of years to probably they're not going to be successful next year? There's no way in hell. Um,
Yeah, probably
I,
not.
I really don't think so. And so I kind of look at it as a chance to give him an opportunity to maybe go somewhere else that might be a little bit more competitive. There was reports about possibly trading him. And I saw the Titans owner, Amy Adams Strunk. She sat down, she did an interview, and she said that that was something that they considered, but she said that trading coaches takes time, and that they weren't willing to, in her words, go to the back of the line and miss out on somebody that they really wanted.
Mm.
Um, which is kind of weird to put it that way, right? I don't know. I don't even know what the best route for this team is going to be. I mean, you keep Jeff Fisher for what, 16 years, 16 seasons, and you let Mike Vrabel go after 6 seasons. Dude had 3 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, a Coach of the
And
Year award.
And the previous coach, Malarkey, I remember there was also like controversy around his firing. Now, granted, he hasn't gone on and done anything in the league since then, but it's still like there's clearly a history at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it really makes you kind of wonder. New GM, well, not new GM. This is going to be his second year with the team. Probably just wanted
Young
to,
GM too. He's like I think
yeah,
46 or something like that.
yeah. He probably just wants to mold things. But I really do see this as a setback. But again, I think kind of staying complacent wouldn't have done much for the team regardless. It reminded me of, and I don't like to make this comparison because two very different coaches, but
Mhm.
watching Mike Vrabel the last two seasons really kind of reminded me of watching Frank Reich in terms of like their
Mm.
demeanor on the sidelines. Like
Mhm.
when Mike Vrabel first was hired as head coach, we saw that dude. He's like Dan Campbell, going crazy on the sidelines, real energetic,
You talking
real
about cutting his dick
charismatic.
off for a Super Bowl.
Exactly. And you saw him the last couple of years, and he's just kind of sitting there on the sides, just looks not super into it. Who am I to say? But that's just the vibes I pick up from watching.
It's again, it's a move I definitely agree with, and I can 1 billion
You
percent.
do agree with?
Oh, sorry, I don't agree with Jesus. Um, I I just think there is such a deficiency of like coaches with high floors,
Yeah.
and you're letting one of those guys walk out of the door for nothing. At least
Yeah.
with my shit ass Saints, they got a first round pick for Sean Payton. Now, would they have been able to net a first round pick for Mike Vrabel? Probably not, but there was still absolutely value there. Mike Vrabel, it will shock me if he does not become a head coach in this hiring cycle.
He
Um,
he he will. And we talked about it earlier in the season, I think when Frank Reich got fired, that second time coaches typically historically do not do well in the NFL. I think Mike Vrabel will be an exception. I think
yeah,
he
no, I
probably just
agree.
needed to change the scenery, something new. It just wasn't working. The Titans, man, that's where careers go to die.
No,
I mean,
literally, man.
it's true, and I'm still so frustrated at D Hop picking the Titans last free agency cycle. Still
Yeah,
can't get over it. But there's some other guys that were let go. You just mentioned one of them, a former Titan, Arthur Smith. I want to hear your
yeah.
thoughts as a Saints fan on that one.
Um, I mean, I don't know. I never really felt that Arthur Smith was a great head coach. I think he is a decent offensive play caller sometimes, but I think down the stretch he was trying, this season especially, he was just like being very cute with his plays. He was like, "Oh, we got Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. Let's get Tyler Algier, 20 carries a game." And I understand you have to like sort of mix and match here, but you're also calling a lot of plays for fucking Cordell Patterson and shit. And I don't know, this was definitely one that didn't surprise me. I think even if the Saints game had been a close game, I still think he would have been around. Or he would have been fired. I think
Kind of
he
went
had.
out like a bitch too, huh?
Yeah, like that. It really kind of blew up because he like was so pissed about the fact that Jameis Winston went rogue and scored a touchdown. And I
That was
just
one of the funniest things. I would love to talk more about that, but I know we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll find a topic
yeah, we'll
in the
we'll
off
we'll
season to
find a
revisit
we'll
that.
find a we'll find a time to talk
But
about
we'll find
that.
a time. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he had lost the locker room. The offensive. You're an offensive head coach, and the Falcons weren't scoring a ton of points this season. You know.
And not only were they not scoring, they were underutilizing their three best offensive talents: Drake
One hundred
London, Kyle
percent.
Pitts, and Bijan Robinson.
Do you want to hear something
You know,
terrible about the Falcons?
of course.
They didn't score 30 points this season.
Oof.
Yeah.
You want to hear something pretty bad too?
Oh, hit me.
The Colts fucking lost to the Falcons like 3 weeks ago.
Ooh, ooh.
I'm still not over that. Pretty decisively too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Betting
that I
odds for
think 29 points. That was the most points the Falcons scored this season.
that's embarrassing. That's horrible. I don't
Ugh.
want to talk about it.
No, we
Betting
don't.
favorite
Yeah,
right
we don't have
now
to.
to fill that spot is Bill Belichick, followed by
Oh,
Ben
God
Johnson,
forbid.
Eric
God
Bieniemy.
forbid. Don't even say that. Don't even say
I think
that.
Bill Belichick is going to be listed as like the betting odds favorite to fill all vacancies. Um, they need to get somebody young who can utilize all of those weapons. I would love to see Eric Bieniemy or Ben Johnson
I
or or
Ben
McDonald
Johnson.
from the Dolphins.
Ben Johnson scares me probably the most in terms of a person who is going to, potentially be there. But I don't know. Arthur Blank, weird. not a weird owner, but I think
Old
he's
school.
old school. Thank you. Like, definitely gives his coaches when he hires them a long leash. Um, and I don't know, man. I think there's some good bones there, but there needed to be a change. Arthur Smith just he was not doing it. They just couldn't be consistent all season at all on either side of the ball. And yeah, this is definitely one that I understand. And yeah,
Yeah, never finished higher than third place in the NFC South. Never won more than 7 games in a season.
yeah, not great, not
Always
great.
consistent. 7-10, 7-10, 7-10.
And you can make the argument where it's like, oh, his quarterbacks were never all that good, blah 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 blah. But I feel like with the weapons that he had, that excuse kind of fades away a little bit. Because again, you see what other coaches are doing, you know, with less. They're doing more with less. And it was just one of those things where it's time.
And not to be
Yeah.
that guy, but it was a fairly weak division, right?
It
The
was
division
such
winners
a
this
weak
year had
division.
9
It was a
the last couple
terrible
seasons.
division.
So to not be able to really take control of that situation, that's
Yeah.
probably what did him in the
No,
most.
I completely agree. And I mean, the Dennis Allen conversation, we can have it another day, but yeah, anyway. Speaking of coaches that it was about time and completely non-surprising, Ron Rivera is our third coach of Black Monday. I think this is sort of the easiest one to talk about because I mean, the
I knew it was going
commies,
to happen.
yeah, we knew this was going to happen. The commies, what, they have the second pick now. They lost just a ton of games in a row. I think down the stretch they lost like, I think they lost 8 in a row. And great tanking job, but
I don't
y-
even know if they were trying to though. That's the sad thing.
yeah,
Like Sam Howell was looking like the next quarterback for that franchise. At least gave himself a chance for next year. But there's no way in hell that they're sticking with him going forward. He collapsed. Yeah, just Riverboat Ron. I was surprised the dude even got hired in Washington to begin with. Things did
yeah, I
not end well
agree.
in Carolina. Definitely, I don't want to say overstayed his welcome, but he stayed much longer than I expected him to. You got new owners, right? You got,
Josh Harris, yeah.
and you maybe gonna have a new name.
Oh, that's
Again,
right. I forgot they're going to change that.
maybe.
Make
So
it the
that team just
Washington
needs.
football team again. I loved the WFT, man. I thought that was just so solid. The branding was great, and probably Dan Snyder's biggest success as an owner.
The thing that bothers me the most is that they switched to the Commanders, but they still kept the same logo, the W, which
Mm,
just bothers me so much.
yeah.
Anyway, um, odds-on favorite to be the next head coach of the Commanders. You want to guess?
Uh, I'd probably say Bieniemy. Even though Bieniemy, like, they were ranked like 20th in offense this season. Yeah, I would probably say Bieniemy. Who is there
So
betting
he's
odds out
top
there right
three.
now?
There is.
Okay.
He's third. Mike McDonald from the Ravens,
Oh, the offensive
defensive
coordinator.
coordinator,
Yeah, that makes sense.
defensive.
Oh, defensive. My bad. My fault.
They want to go defensive guy. So that'll be interesting. Bill Belichick's there again. He's probably gonna be on everybody's
Oh yeah.
betting favorites. I really don't know what this team needs. I'd like to see who they bring in and what they kind of do with the hires, but man, they have a good opportunity to kind of flip things around. New head coach, potentially a new quarterback, probably Drake May.
Yeah.
Um, another North Carolina guy. They're gonna have two of them in the building.
Oh, jeez.
What a mess.
I-
Yeah, it was bound to happen.
Just
Um,
real quick. I saw a mock draft and somebody had Drake May going before Caleb Williams, and I was like, what the fuck?
dude, I've seen that a bunch. I've seen a lot of takes that the way Caleb Williams kind of finished off the season, that the separation between the two is not as crazy as people think.
Oh, I completely disagree. I mean, granted. I don't know much about college football, but what I saw this season, I think that Caleb is like, you
You
gotta
kind of
take
should bet
Caleb,
a little
man.
bit though. He's a
Gotta,
generational talent. You gotta take him.
yeah, you gotta
But
take
he's
him
already
on.
shown some like diva, traits about wanting ownership, those stupid ass reports. Who knows? We'll see. This
I
year
don't blame him. I do not blame him. Absolutely not. I do not blame
it's
him.
just so absurd though. No other player's ever done that.
What? Eli Manning did it.
Had ownership? No, I'm saying having ownership. Okay, you were saying about refusing to
Oh,
play
oh,
for a
oh.
team.
I
I see
thought
what
you
you're
were
saying.
saying like complaining about ownership, but he wants like a slice. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
wants a
Okay.
slice of the
Yes,
pie.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. No,
I'm
that is
surprised more
that
people
is true.
haven't pulled an Eli Manning, to be honest with you.
I'm saying like, ugh. Anyway, so before we move on to playoffs, so we now have coaching vacancies, technically in Las Vegas, Tennessee, Los Angeles, in parentheses Chargers, potentially the Patriots, um, potentially the Seahawks. I don't think that'll happen, but
No,
we'll
no
see.
way.
The Falcons and the Commanders and the Panthers. Um, so lot of some interesting jobs out there. Some interesting jobs out there. So I'm
You think
excited to
you
see where
think
this goes.
you think Jim Harbaugh makes the leap this year finally?
Ooh. I would say probably. Um, there's I think like 2 years ago before the Vikings hired their current head coach, he was like I think he was like interviewing and he was very, very close to getting that job, but it didn't happen. I think he wants to be back in the NFL. I think he now has the perfect stepping off point where he's like, "Yep, I succeeded in college." He won a
He's
fucking
facing some. Sorry to cut you off.
no, no, no.
He's facing some potential sanctions from the NCAA as well, right?
Yeah, for the quote cheating. But
Yeah, the
it
sign stealing. So
fucking everyone cheats in college
that's a way.
football.
That's a way he could get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he could go out on top and it not even really matter.
exactly, exactly. And that's Harbaugh is somebody. It's like Ben Johnson. Like, man, I do not want him with the Falcons or the damn Colts, uh, Falcons or the Panthers. Like, please God, no.
Nobody,
Um,
nobody no respectable head coach or coach is going to go to the Panthers. Who the hell wants that job?
yeah, David Tepper, man, just it's so funny that fucking Dan Snyder leaves, and we're all kind of like, oh, is Spanos gonna take the mantle, or is it
You
gonna
said Jim
be
Irsay.
Mark Davis? And it's like, nope, it is David Tepper. And
You
like,
mentioned Jim Irsay, and I will not forgive you for that as being the one of the worst head coaches in the NFL.
I didn't say Jim Irsay was a bad head coach. He's an owner.
No, a bad owner is what I meant. One of the worst owners in the NFL. I remember you saying that.
I I just think
Colin, we
I
love Jim Irsay on this podcast. Okay.
that's another conversation. That's another conversation. Anyway,
Real quick before we step off this
yeah.
topic, not a firing that has happened, but there are reports that Sean Payton will have say in if the GM of the Broncos, uh, Payton as well, keeps his job. What are your thoughts on that? Have you heard that report?
I haven't seen that. But I also my focus on the Broncos over the past couple weeks has been about the whole Russell Wilson thing, so I haven't seen a ton of that. I think that situation is fucked. I think that situation is completely fucked, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um,
There's reports
because
now that says that Russell Wilson's benching was completely independent of contract negotiations. There's no way in hell that's true.
sure, Jan, sure, sure, sure.
um,
No, I think
so
I think that is a complete disaster.
yeah,
Um, and just little sneaky, um, you know, ownership. I know they haven't like ownership of the Broncos. I forget the family who owns it, but it's the Walmart
the
guys.
Waltons.
Thank you. Um, the fact that they have let it get this out of control, or maybe the orders are coming from upon high. I think that is an indictment on ownership. Um, and man, that is a fucked situation. I think Sean Payton is. I don't know, man. That
I
I
know, I know, I know. He gets a lot of power. He'd have a good amount of power with the Saints, right? That's what he wanted. But if your head coach has say in the GM, which is the GM's typically the head coach's boss,
yeah.
right? If he has say in his whether or not his job is safe, it doesn't look like he's gonna get fired. Who knows though? That's a weird situation.
It's definitely weird, man. It's definitely weird, and I think right now with the Broncos, they sort of they bottomed out. They wanted to get a better pick, um, and it's it's weird, man, because at like right now, like with the decisions they have made and the effect that it has probably had on the locker room, like this team's not going to be good next year. Who's who's quarterbacking this team that they're gonna be better? You know?
No, and they're gonna have to over. They're trying to be stingy with their money with Russ Wilson. Now they're gonna have to overpay for free agents to go there. 'Cause like I said, they kind of were a little shady with a couple different players' contracts this year, so not a good situation.
Completely agree. Shout out to the Broncos for bottoming out. We own your second round pick, so appreciate that, boys. Anyway, anything else before we move on to the playoff slate?
No, I'm happy. I think it's going to be interesting to see which coaches are part of this cycle. There's
Yeah.
always a couple coaches that like keep getting passed on. Do you have any one coach in particular that you would like to see finally get a job or get a head coaching job? I know you love Eric Bieniemy. There's
Yeah.
anybody else that stands out to you?
I really like Eric Bieniemy. I do think that, like, if not now, when, Um I I like Ben Johnson a lot. I
Hmm.
would have loved to see him on the Saints, but that's not gonna happen. Um Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I have one. I would love to see Antonio Pierce back in back in Las Vegas.
Yeah, if he
Um
doesn't stay, that's going to be a little tricky situation.
yeah.
But
And I know,
maybe,
ownership, just in a macro sense, owners don't love hiring interim head coaches because then it's like, "Oh, well you had this guy in the building the whole time and now you're hiring," so I don't know if Mark Davis will do that. But Mark Davis, you are also paying a bunch of head coaches, like I think it's something like 80 million for Gruden
Jesus,
and McDaniels. Uh
jeez.
so it's, oh man, it's, I think,
Who's before that? Jack Del Rio?
yes.
Or
But the
or no shit, it was Dennis Allen, right?
no, it was Jack Del Rio because that was when it was like the 2016 run when Carr was like third in MVP,
Mm,
and then he like broke his back, and then
mm.
they had like, oh, it was that kid like Cook going up against
Yeah,
the
Connor
Texans,
Cook.
and Connor Cook, thank you, going up against the Texans in the playoffs, and then it was just like, it was this great story that just like completely fizzled out.
Hmm.
And then Gruden came in and traded Khalil Mack, and the rest is history.
And Amari Cooper. No, Amari Cooper was gone the year before. Regardless, I'm with you though. I really hope Ben Johnson becomes a head coach. I could see him having very similar success as Shane Steichen did this year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Sneaky head coach hire that I think could definitely happen.
Jeff
Jim
Saturday.
Schwartz. Oh,
Uh,
who'd you say?
I said Jeff Saturday. You get
Oh,
a shot
jeez.
again.
Oh,
Jim
God.
Schwartz, huh?
Yeah, I think
Huh.
you look at the success of that Browns defense this year, and I know that a lot of the credit is going to go to Stefanski, as it should, and I think he's probably, if it's not McVay, it's going to be Stefanski for Coach of the Year. But yeah, no, I think
Interesting.
he will definitely get some looks.
I got another former head coach I'd like to see back.
Oh
Defensive
yeah.
guy as well. Brian Flores.
Oh, B Flow. Yeah, no, great. No, me too. He interviewed for the Saints job before fucking Dennis Allen, man. And I was
Yeah,
like,
but was he not getting blackballed, right? I don't recall how that finished. How that whole saga ended.
yeah, I don't
Who knows?
who the fuck knows, because it's all been like kind of reported, but nothing's been confirmed. But no, I think I have always felt that B-Flow was going to be a great head coach. And I think people look at the D'Amico Ryans thing and they're like, oh, maybe it's former defensive guy just cut his teeth in the coaching room after he retired. Let's give him a shot. Yeah. But he might be
Love
blackballed,
it.
so we'll see.
Jeez, that sounds so horrible.
Fuck the NFL. Anything else before we move on to the slate?
Let's get on to the playoffs, man. There's a lot of interesting games this weekend.
Yes, there is. All right. So starting on Saturday, the early game, which I feel like the early game is always where they kind of stash the worst game. But I don't think this is going to be a completely terrible game. We got Browns heading to Houston, Texas, to take on the Texans. This is a really interesting game, because it's sort of two teams who are very opposite. You have the Browns, who have had a good roster for a while. They have players that have been deep in the playoffs, and a quarterback who is old as dirt, but is somehow still able to slang that thing. Joe Flacco coming out and just cooking. The Texans lost to the Browns. I think it was week 16. Yes, week 16.
Yeah.
Granted, the Texans did not have CJ Stroud. So this is a very interesting game for me. I think that the Browns defense is just going to overwhelm the shit out of CJ Stroud. I think we're going to see a lot of like, he's really good quarterback, but maybe they made the playoffs a year too early kind of vibe. What's your take on it?
I don't think this is gonna be the worst game of the weekend at all. I know you didn't say that, but that is typically where they put the worst games.
Yeah.
I think that is gonna be reserved for Pittsburgh and Buffalo. But anyways,
Completely agree.
regardless, um,
Especially
no,
with
I'm
TJ Watt
excited. I
out.
mean, I think I would have been more excited if we would have finally got to see the Colts redeem themselves against the Browns for the officiating mishap. But
Ooh,
regardless, no,
yeah.
you're right. Cleveland took care of Houston 3 weeks ago. The Case Keenum played like absolute dog shit in that game. Davis Mills came in and actually made it look a little closer on the
They put
box
up
score, but
22. I mean, they put up 22 points. I don't want to like. I'm not
some
necessarily
late
gonna like.
points there.
I'm not necessarily gonna be like, oh yeah, like this is awesome. But I, there's stuff there. I still think that the Browns defense is like stunningly good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I don't really see CJ Stroud getting overwhelmed. I know this defense is good. I see the way I see Houston winning this game, or if Houston has a path to winning this game, I should say, would be for Joe Flacco to come back down to earth. He
Yeah.
dropped
Yeah. Yep.
368 on them when they played a couple weeks ago.
It blacked the fuck out.
That was the Amari Cooper 260
Fucking
plus
Amari's
yard
out there
game.
somewhere.
So, it'll be interesting. I don't know. It's gonna be a fun game. I if I had to choose, to be honest, I'd like to see both teams do well. I would love to see the Browns go super deep into the playoffs. So then they'd be like, fuck, maybe we don't need Deshaun Watson.
That would be
And
so
something
cool.
happens with
Oh my
that.
god, that would be so cool. What's Deshaun?
But
Sorry, just real quick. I'm gonna look up what Deshaun Watson's dead cap hit would be.
it's gotta be like in the 80s. It's
Oh,
gotta be.
it's got to be more than that. It's a fully
Think
guaranteed
so?
contract.
Huh.
Let's see.
He's probably done something to avoid his contract.
Yeah, right. Okay, so right now, 2023. So his cap. Oh my god. Oh my god,
What is it?
dude. Okay, so his contract hasn't even gotten bad yet.
I almost remember that actually.
His he.
And he
Oh
signed
my
for like, remember
god.
he signed for like super cheap the first couple years
No,
because he was going to be
yeah.
suspended.
Oh my
What is it at?
god. Okay, so if they cut him this offseason, the dead cap hit would be $200 million going forward.
Jesus. Hmm.
Oh my god. Dude,
Yeah,
he's
so there's nothing they can do about that.
no, he's fucked. They're fucked. Oh my
He's
god.
not fucked.
Well,
He's
he's not
good.
fucked.
He's set. He's set for life.
Oh my
Wow.
god. He's making 63 million against the cap the next 3 years.
I don't know
Jesus
why they would do that.
Christ.
And I think it just makes it so much worse that Baker played well this year. I know
Yeah.
we had a little bit of a you know a little back and forth
Oh
about that
my
earlier,
god.
but yeah, that's rough. Who you got in this game?
Browns. Browns.
Browns. Okay,
I
same here.
think I think there's definitely a possibility of Joe Flacco coming back to earth, but I also very much believe in Stefanski. I think I talk about doing, good coaches do more with less. And Jesus Christ, who did more with less this year than Stefanski in terms of
Seriously,
in terms of quarterbacks? They had what, four quarterbacks in and
no,
out, or is it
no,
more
no,
than
no.
that?
More. They had Deshaun Watson, PJ Walker, DTR. Then they
Yep.
had Flacco, and then
And
they
then
had
they Flacco,
Driscoll just now. So
and they
five guys,
Jesus.
ridiculous. Plus they lost Nick Chubb,
Yeah,
best running back in
yeah,
the NFL.
yeah. No, so I very much believe in the Browns over the Texans. The next game on the slate, if you got nothing else to say about that game, Dolphins at Chiefs. This is a game that has red flags all over it. If I am a Miami fan, I think right now you look at, the conditions and you look at the body of work of the Dolphins for the season, and this is very much going to be a repeat of last year in terms of their playoff performance. I think the Chiefs win pretty handily. It's supposed to be like 0 degrees at kickoff. Miami has beaten one team over 500 this year. That was the Dallas Cowboys, and they barely beat them. I have zero faith in this Dolphins team. I think they're completely fraudulent. Um, and whether that's down to injuries or whatever it is, I have no faith in this Dolphins team to go deep in the playoffs. What's your take? And plus, Patrick Mahomes, come on.
Yeah, so no team is going into the playoffs. Probably no team is going in more hobbled,
I don't
right?
know. The Philadelphia Eagles exist.
Well, that's true. That is true. But
Oh,
the
you mean like
The
injury
Dolphins,
wise?
yes, yes,
Gotcha, gotcha.
that's what I meant. Sorry. The Dolphins have lost both of their top pass rushers, and devastating season-long injuries. They just signed a slew of veterans today.
Yeah,
Justin Houston, Malik
Melvin
Reed.
Ingram was like their
Hmm.
most important player on defense against the Bills, and he was sitting on his couch 3 weeks ago.
Yep. Brought in Bruce Irvin, former Super Bowl MVP. No, wait, was he the MVP? He was not. He was
No,
not.
that was Malcolm Smith, I
No, that was
believe.
Malcolm Smith. But he was on that team.
Yeah, yeah.
But regardless, um, I'm gonna go against you. I think Miami's gonna win this game.
Wow. What do you think?
I see this kind of being a slugfest if the conditions really do play a factor.
Mm.
One
Yeah,
sec,
no,
Colin.
no, no, yeah, no, it's no problem. Um, I can see how you say that. It's definitely. And with the way offensively the Chiefs played down the stretch, it's like, okay, like I can see it, I can see the path, but yeah, what's your defense for that?
Yeah, so I'd see Miami being able to actually run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Raheem Mostert, Achan, throw in Jeff Wilson if they need him. Right? They have a couple of guys, two guys that have shown this year that they could both rush for 100 yards in the same game, rip off some big runs. One of the best offensive lines, surprisingly,
Shout out Teron
in the
Armstead.
NFL. Um, and maybe Tyreek Hill. This is his homecoming game. This is his first game back in KC since being traded. Uh, if Jalen Waddle's back, I think it could be a pretty explosive game. I know KC's defense has been good. Trent McDuffie has been good. Jerry Snee's been good. But I don't know. I just see, Miami dropped off last year. They had a very forgetful run in the playoffs last year, obviously with no Tua. I just see them winning this game. I've been so disappointed with Kansas City They've not shown to be a good or even a decent team in the last couple of weeks.
Mm.
I think they could be in for a rough game.
To be honest with you, I don't know if this is just like my personal Pat Mahomes bias, but I think the Chiefs are like sneaky team that could do it this year. I think they could potentially get back to the Super Bowl this year, man. I
I
re I
pray that
I
they don't.
I really do think that because it's like, you look at what this team does well. They run the ball well and they play defense well. They have a good play caller and they have a great fucking quarterback. And you know what does well in the fucking playoffs? Good defense, good coaching, good quarterbacks. So I don't know. Like I know that they have dealt with receiver bullshit all year, but I don't know. I think I'm a lot higher on this team than everyone else. Yeah.
It'll be interesting since we're split on that. The spread's at 4, favoring KC right now.
Yeah.
Um, uh, we'll see. Like I said, I really think Miami pulls it off.
One more thing about this game. Something that really fucking pisses me off is the fact that they're exclusively showing it on Peacock. Um
That's how the rest of the season's been. This is just the world we live in, though.
No,
The
I know, and
Peacock's
I'm
free.
I, I'm saying it's fucked. Like it's I think that to paywall this for everyone besides the local fans is really fucking stupid. You paid $100 million and this is gonna flop. This is going to completely flop. People
I
don't like,
disagree.
but
I
no,
think it sucks, but people are gonna watch. I don't think it'll flop.
I think people go to bars. I 1 billion% think this is gonna flop. I think this is gonna be laughed at. I think this is NBC burning $100 million. Yeah, yeah, that's my take. I complete like
It
not
does
to
kind of
not to be this guy, but this is some classic like capitalism bullshit, and it's just like, just fuck you.
Yeah, it's just that's how we are. Every primetime game is on a different platform. It sucks, but is what it is.
It is what it is. Moving on. I think this is the game we probably have to spend the least amount of time on. Steelers at Bills. No TJ Watt. Um, have they
Mason
said who's
Rudolph
gonna
so far.
Mason Rudolph is gonna start?
I mean, I would just assume he kind of got you there, right?
Yeah,
But
I guess. Like they just had to beat the lousy ass Seahawks, and then sorry, but because of the Colts, they got in, and
yeah,
and
Rudolph
the and the
remains
trash ass Jags.
QB1.
Like they literally stumbled ass backwards into this.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. After the Colts beat them pretty, they didn't kick their asses, but they beat them pretty handedly. I'm so shocked that that team made the playoffs and we didn't. Looking back at that, but yeah, Mason Rudolph QB1, he's gonna remain in. Like I said, I mean he's the guy that got you there, but
I guess
come on,
so. I don't know. I'm just I am
yeah, it's gonna be
so
Buffalo.
I am so out on this Steelers team. I am so out on this Steelers team. I think Buffalo.
Agreed.
I think there's definitely a chance where the game is close, but I really do not see a world in which the Bills lose this game.
Steelers only made it in because the Ravens benched their players. Let's be honest.
Literally, it's no, it pisses me off to no end that like, and I have friends that are Steelers fans, so they might give me some shit if they listen to this, but I don't know. I think this kind of goes back to our conversation about the college football playoff, and the NFL would never have a selection committee, and I think the selection committee
Mhm.
is kind of dumb. But like, oh my god, like
If
could
they did, this team would not be in there.
yeah, exactly. You absolutely put like the Colts or maybe even the Jaguars in, or maybe even the Bengals. The Bengals were like they were fun, but the Steelers like, ah, I want to throw up watching their games. Anything else on this one?
No, Buffalo's they're gonna kill them.
Yeah, as long as Josh Allen doesn't come in and like be like silly Josh Allen where he throws 3 picks in the first half, I think this is absolutely like this is Bills 1000%. over under for this game is 36.5. So even Vegas is like, yeah, no, Steelers ain't doing
Yep.
shit.
Bills are ten
Um,
point favorites, 10.5. So
uh,
Giants with that.
looking on Bleacher Report right now, so I think they get their odds from FanDuel. Are or no, wait, they get them from DraftKings, and that is yeah, it's just sitting at 10 right now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh, yeah,
that's
yeah,
generous.
that's generous. Anything else on the Steelers Bills? Because I mean, I don't know. There's just like there is not a lot to say here. You know, again, Steelers, they're not gonna have their best defensive player. You know, it's just you're relying on Mason Rudolph. I have no
There,
faith.
there, there's zero chance that if the Steelers get blown out, that Mike Tomlin gets fired.
Fuck no. Fuck no. Fuck
Okay.
no. You can't. You can't. You
Okay.
can't. There's no. Especially like, geez, I'm gonna say it again, but doing more with less. Like I've been poo-pooing on the Steelers, but I'm gonna give them their flowers now. The fact that they made it to this point with the quarterbacks that they had, it's a total testament to Mike Tomlin. And I know that they had a lot of things go their way, but like Mike Tomlin, like he fucking did it again. The streak remains alive, baby. Yeah, that like just a high floor coach. I think would be incredibly irresponsible to get rid of that.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Um, moving on, I think this will probably be the best game of the week, maybe, depending on how you feel about Joe Barry's defense. But Packers at Cowboys, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think.
Agreed.
I will not give out my winner yet, but you look at coaching, you look at just where the teams are, and I think this is like I think people are not giving the Packers enough credit. I know they're the youngest team in football, so they like for the first part of the season they were like figuring shit out, and Jordan Love's receivers like didn't know the offense, so it was like really challenging and stuff. But I think, as much as it pains me to say, because I despise the Packers. I don't know why, but I hate Packers fans. I hate their franchise. Um I hate it. I hate it. But I think they have a really good shot to upset the Cowboys, and the line is fucking 7.5 right now. That is
Yeah. No.
that is
That's.
incorrect in my
I
opinion.
saw that as well. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be the best game this weekend. I'll touch on that as we kind of continue. It's gonna be a very good game.
Hmm.
Mike McCarthy going against his former team in the playoffs. Like you said, youngest team in the NFL. The Packers. Nobody thought they were gonna be here, right?
No, no.
After nobody believed in Jordan Love. You didn't believe in me
No,
in Jordan
you
Love.
I I've been waiting for you to bring it up, but you are 1000% right. You and I will concede. I will concede. You were totally right on Jordan Love. I was wrong. Um
Thank you.
yeah, no, that was
If
I mean down the stretch they got it done.
they did. If they somehow beat the Cowboys by a lot, if the Cowboys lose by a lot, get blown out, first round exit again. And well, maybe it's because we're just talking about coaches that got fired, getting fired. You think Mike McCarthy goes anywhere?
I do. I think he's
I
done.
I do as
Um
well.
because Jerry
That was
Jones came
obviously
out and they asked him about it, and he was like, "Oh, well, we'll see." And I think if Belichick is there, fucking Jerry Jones will do whatever it is in his power to get that man in his building. Um,
Belichick with the Cowboys. Dude, that'd be the grossest, most despicable combo ever. I
yeah,
kind of
they
like
just
it.
need to trade for Deshaun Watson.
I kind of like it. Huh.
No,
Interesting.
honestly, I I think that's the right move. I think Mike McCarthy has shown time and time again that he's sort of the Doc Rivers of the NFL, just in terms of like he got a Super Bowl kind of early in his tenure, and then he just has done dick since then. He's had good regular seasons, but he hasn't gone further than the second round. And
Yeah.
I I think that says something about the guy. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
So who you got?
so
You got Green
I
Bay.
this is really tough. I think I am gonna take the Cowboys. I think the game is gonna be closer than people think. Certainly closer than what Vegas thinks. And I know, again, I've been kind to the Packers, but I think there is maybe too much of a talent deficiency, especially when you look at the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay. Fucking Joe Barry I'm not quite sure how he still has a job. You gave up 30 points to the Panthers. The Panthers haven't scored a point since that game. The Panthers did not score a point since that game. Um,
Fair.
I have no faith in the fucking in the coaching in Joe Barry's coaching ability. And you look at CD Lamb, you look at Tony
Mm,
Pollard. I think there's
mm.
there's a little too much to deal with. And yeah, so I begrudgingly take the Cowboys because it would be fun to see them upset. The Cowboys get upset, but I do think that there's a little too much to contend with, just talent wise.
Okay. I'm taking Green Bay.
Nice, nice. No, I wish I believed in Green Bay's talent more than Dallas's talent. But I'm like, CeeDee Lamb is just so freaking good, man. And Dak is gonna do enough, I think. And yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Moving on. I think this is the most interesting game of the slate. Rams at Lions. Matthew Stafford going home. The sort of I think this is maybe the Matthew Stafford Bowl because you look at
The
the
Jared
two.
Goff Bowl. What are you talking about?
Do you mean the Jared Goff plus 2 picks bowl? Um, yeah, no, I think this is I think this is I think this could also maybe be the game of the week.
This is my
It's
game of the week.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. But I look at Detroit and I'm like, okay, so you probably aren't gonna have Sam Laporta because he's pretty questionable, and if you have him, he's not gonna be 100%. And so Jared Goff isn't gonna have his favorite new target. I think that the Rams will be able to do enough on the offensive side of the ball because while Aaron Glenn has I'll say he's an interesting defensive coordinator. That defense has been getting torched all season. All
They're
season.
getting CD Deuce back though.
What'd you say?
So they're getting back CD Deuce.
Oh, yeah. Shout out shout
CJ
out
Gardner Johnson.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson. I miss you, man. I miss you so much, man. He was really one of my favorite Saints players. He was
He's
just
back this week, so maybe that gives a little bit of a boost to this defense.
I don't think it does. I think oh wow. Just side note, Eric Spoelstra just got the biggest coaching deal in NBA history.
Huh.
120 million over 8 years. God damn, good for you, Eric Spoelstra.
How
He
long has
is
that dude been there, man?
he is the best coach in the NBA, so that makes sense. Yeah, I think that the Rams and their players and especially their defensive core, they've seen what Jared Goff can do. They've seen what Jared Goff can do. And we've seen good Jared Goff. We've maybe even seen great Jared Goff in Detroit. But we haven't quite seen him at the level he was when he was cooking in 2018. So I think that this is I think Sean McVay is gonna, go to it's Raheem Morris, right? That's who's
We'll see.
that's who's Who's the defensive coordinator in LA?
Yes,
Raheem Morris,
Raheem
right?
Morris.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's gonna be like, okay, if you put Jared in this, and that situation, he's cooked. So I think there's just like there's a little too much going against the Lions, given the injury. I also think that they're still thinking about that Cowboys game, sadly. I don't know if you saw this, but they called a bunch of plays where they had the tackle report is eligible and they like still threw it to him and stuff. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, this is fun. This is cute, but it's time to move on, guys. Yeah, so I have the Rams in this. I actually think they're gonna win pretty comfortably. Uh like sort of end of the first quarter, Rams are up like 10-0. Jared Goff has like a pick or a fumble and he's gotten like pressured a bunch. Yeah, so I'm taking the Rams.
I got the Rams as well. I think it'll
Yeah.
be a close game though. This
Mm,
game, I think it'll be good.
that's fair. That's fair.
I could see it going either way, but I think Rams are probably one of the teams you don't want to play right now.
Completely agree. Completely agree. As somebody who saw their team face the Rams, I'm right there with you, bud. Um, last game of the slate, and I think this is like, I think personally, I really like this game because either way, I'm gonna be satisfied with the result. I despise any sports team from Philadelphia. I think it's like a New York, Philadelphia thing. I hate their fans. I like the Eagles won one Super Bowl, and that's all that's happened. But like these Philly fans would have you believe that they've won six. It has been delightful, delightful watching them fucking stumble drunk down the stretch here. Yeah, what's your take on this game?
I think they're the worst team in the playoffs right now.
Oh wow, even
I
worse than the
really do.
Steelers.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's a take.
They are also injured, but man, that team has looked so bad.
They look so
Their
bad.
play calling is just in shambles on both sides of the ball.
Shout out Matt
Matt,
Patricia.
Matt Patricia has some say in it. I think this really just goes to show that like Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon did so much for that team that Nick Sirianni just I don't want to say got carried,
Nobody did.
um, but he did.
Yeah,
He
he
is,
did.
and that's an indie guy. He's a cold guy, and he is one of the most unlikable personalities in the entire NFL.
He fooled people. He fooled people, man.
He's just a obnoxious douchebag, man, and I do think that they're gonna struggle big time. Now Tampa's not the strongest team, but man, I'm loving what Baker's doing this year, and I really do think that the Eagles are gonna get knocked out in the first round.
Mm. I don't personally. I don't believe that. I think the Eagles will find a way to beat the Panthers. Panthers, Jesus, the Bucks. I think they will, and you know, Eagles. They will. I say this, but this is a team that got swept. This is a team that got fucking. I'm sorry, they didn't get swept, but down the stretch, they lost. They lost 5 of their last 6. They faced the
Yes.
Seahawks, the Giants twice, and the Cardinals. Just, ugh, just disgusting. Ever since that Bills game, they just haven't been the same. The 49, I think the 49ers just like I just think they
Ruined them.
broke them. They broke them. Um, and I
Yeah,
think it
I agree.
showed that like without the tush push, what is this team? You know?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts has been very, very unimpressive down the stretch. AJ Brown got hurt this last week. I think he'll be okay. Who knows? I actually don't know what the injury status is on him. Devontae Smith has been banged up. Jalen Hurts, almost broke his finger or fractured his finger.
Fletcher
It's
Cox,
just,
I think, is out.
yeah, they got Darius Leonard, bless his soul, is playing significant minutes, is not playing well at all. Um, it's just, yeah, it's not a good looking team right now. I think the Buccaneers are going to win and move on.
I this is another one where it's very coin flippy for me. But I do think the Eagles are going to win. I just think that similar with the Cowboys, I think there's just like too much talent to overcome. I look at the Bucks offense over the last couple weeks, and against the Panthers, they only scored 9. Against the Saints, they only scored 13. And offense didn't look great then. So it'll be interesting, but I do think the Eagles will pull this one out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, so that is the playoff slate. It's gonna be a fun weekend, I think. Shout out to illegal streaming sites because fuck buying Peacock. Are you close enough to Kansas City to get the local? No, right?
No.
Yeah.
I've that's one of the closer markets for us, but we don't get any of their games here.
Yeah, I figured, but thought I'd ask anyway because the
Who knows? But Peacock's free though. I don't understand what you're up in arms about.
Is
it just the fact of like making an account?
No.
And then getting on there because it's free.
Because I think I was already jaded from the fact that you had to do it for the Premier League. And then so seeing that it's exclusively going to be on Peacock again, I'm like, nope, I'm out. Like this, nope, I'm good.
It's understandable.
I'm good.
This is the principle.
Because it is because they're going to be like, oh, it's free, blah, 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 and you can, do all this, blah, blah, blah. But then like once the game is over, I don't know. I think it's one of those things that it's like I was already pissed about it because of the Premier League and how they've paywalled that. And so now to see them do it with football, and I know they're not paywalling it with football, but the fact that it's going to get there with football. They're going to try it with football. I'm telling you. It is. I hate it. Fuck NBC. Anything else before we get on out of here? Any hot takes? Any cold takes? I gotta say one thing. Shout out to Lamar Jackson. This time last year, nobody was sure that he'd even be staying in Baltimore, and to then get the contract, to then go out, get the number 1 seed. He's going to be the MVP. Just fuck yeah, Lamar. Fuck yeah. Way to fucking cook, man.
I don't want to be that guy. Okay, I really don't.
No, be that guy. Do it.
I was looking at it. It's probably going to be one of the most least impressive MVP seasons, in my opinion.
That's fine. It's a narrative award, baby. It's a narrative award, and I'm so fine with that.
Shout out to him, though. I'm happy. Because like you said, last year, yes, all the shit that was going down last year with him, good for him.
And you now have like, you think about like the Falcons. The Falcons are like, why the fuck did we not just give up 2 first-round picks for Lamar?
They doubled down.
He was sitting there. There for literally anyone. And no dice. So, I mean, it would have never happened, but Saints, come on, man. Like, I would much rather have Lamar than Derek Carr. But, hey, then we don't have Brian Bresee, and Brian Bresee was awesome this year, so. Meh. Anything else before we get out of here?
It's going to be a fun week.
It is. I hope it is. Between the Browns game and the Dolphins game and the Packers game and the Rams and the Eagles game, I think those are all going to be close games, and I'm excited.
All right, man.
All right. Well,
I'm going to keep track. I'm going to try to put some this week and keep track to see who picked right. We actually picked a lot against each other.
We did, yeah, because you took the Texans, right?
No, I took the Browns.
Oh, but you okay, so you took the Dolphins, you took the Packers, you took the Rams, and you took the Bucks. In terms of, like, contested, I think.
I'm not taking the Steelers.
Fuck no.
But yes.
Yeah.
I'll keep track of it.
Sounds good. Excellent. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate you for joining me tonight. This will come out Wednesday, I will say afternoon. Again, Happy New Year to everyone who is listening. Appreciate you for listening. And yeah, y'all, have a great evening. Have a great morning. Have a great day. Have a great dawn. Have a great dusk. Whatever it is, whatever time it is. Have a good one, y'all. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. But yeah, peace out, y'all.
Peace.